The first thing you should know about migrant caravans is that nobody ends up in them who has somewhere better to be. Nobody. No matter what people tell you, no matter who they say they are or what they pretend to be, if they're on a migrant caravan, they're out of options. In this way, every caravan is the same. I have yet to find an exception. The second thing you should know about migrant caravans is that actually no two of them are the same. It all depends on who's in charge. Sometimes they're led by a priest, and the kind of priest who starts a caravan is usually charismatic and well-connected and has some sway in the area. He's on amicable terms with the local police forces, for instance, or if not amicable terms, then at least reasonable ones, and he can therefore negotiate safe passage through Mexico. This priest almost certainly runs a shelter, a place that hosts migrants passing through on their way north, and if the priest is powerful, you can bet his shelter will be top-notch as well. It'll have bunk beds to crash on, 3 decent meals a day, and even showers, all of which will actually work, though none will have hot water. Not that you'll care, considering that you've been trekking through a sweltering jungle or desert all day. But many migrant shelters aren't run by charismatic priests, nor are they luxurious, and the worst aren't really shelters at all. They're dumps with dirt floors and holes in the ground for toilets, and the only food you'll find is beans, a scoop of lukewarm beans that have been sitting in a greasy pot for God knows how long. Obviously, you want to end up in one of the better shelters, but when you're from another country, sometimes it's hard to know which shelter will be good and which will be bad. Sometimes you'll travel to where someone said a shelter would be, and its doors are locked. Nobody home. Or sometimes there won't be anything at all, no building, no nothing. Like it just vanished. Or maybe the person who told you about it was lying. Maybe they were just screwing with you. Or maybe they wanted you to die. This brings me to the third thing you should know about migrant caravans. And really, this is directly related to the first thing and indirectly to the second. You can't trust anybody you meet on a migrant caravan. The kinds of people you encounter on caravans are sad and desperate characters who probably gave you a fake name. They are not your confidants. Never offer up any personal information, especially in regard to where you're traveling. And definitely do not show them where you've stashed your money, even though everyone already knows it's in your underwear. It's always in your underwear. But no one can be completely sure unless they catch you with your hand rummaging around in your crotch, so don't do that. And don't take anyone else's general untrustworthiness personally because, if you're being honest, you probably can't be trusted either. You're probably also using a nom de guerre. You're probably also hiding where you're from and where you're going and have your birth certificate tucked down the front of your pants right next to your cash. But here's the tricky thing, which is also the fourth thing you should know about migrant caravans. You have to trust the people you meet on migrant caravans. Not everyone, obviously, because you actually can't trust anyone. Caravans are full of thieves, or at least degenerates, drug users, drug smugglers, drug dealers, sex predators and sex pests and pedophiles, murderers, or people who openly boast about murdering, which is not the same thing, as well as attempted murderers, who are less likely to exaggerate their botched attempts and are, therefore, somewhat more credible. But you have to choose someone, and you must choose carefully, because migrant caravans are full of vultures, predators and prey, the worst and waste of humanity. Or at least, that's what anyone on a migrant caravan will tell you. But, as I just said, you can't trust what people tell you on a migrant caravan. And yet you have to, because you are running for your life. Because you have never been to Mexico and have no idea how big this country is or how to get from one end of it to the other. Maybe you can't read, or you can read, somewhat at least, but you can't read maps. Or you can read maps and books just fine, but none of that seems to matter anymore, because you need to travel from where you are, in southern Mexico, to the U.S. border, and ahead of you lie 2,000 miles of some of the most hostile terrain on the planet. Thick jungle, sweltering swamps, barren deserts, poisoned rivers. Immigration is everywhere, or if they are not everywhere, then the threat of them is. Their shadows haunt the buses and trains and hidden pathways that circle backwater towns. Ideally, you'd have someone to guide you through it all. A coyote, a pollero, a human smuggler. But they're expensive, and let's face it, you're probably broke. Besides, you can't trust a coyote. They're in the caravans too, scoping out business opportunities, leeching off of suffering, sowing disunity. Though, if you do have some money, coyotes can be a bit more trustworthy. For the right price, of course. And remember, you need to trust somebody.